Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Dom. How's it going, buddy? So, I don't know about you, but I've been having a little bit of a morning over here. It seems like everything I have tried to do this morning has just not worked. And like I was saying before, it's almost like I'm Murphy. It's not like Murphy's Law is working on me. It's like I'm Murphy, like I'm embodying Murphy's Law, and everything I touch is just going the wrong way. From, trying to get out to do my workouts this morning to just simple stuff with getting my computer up and running and leaving my phone places and just all kinds of stuff. Just like every time I turn around, something's going a little bit sideways. So, all of that said, I feel like now I'm right where I need to be, right in the perfect place with not the smartest guys in the room. How are you doing today, my friend?
Tom, man, I'm doing good. It's sorry to hear a rough start to your morning, but I feel your pain with. Sometimes we do silly things. I went out for a run the other day, and I was going to make enchiladas, and I set the oven. I cooked the chicken. I'll cook the chicken while I'm running. It'll be 40 minutes or so. When I come back, I'll wrap the chicken up in the enchiladas. I come back, and my wife didn't move forward with anything. And I'm like, okay. So I open the oven up, and there's nothing in it. I open the other oven up, and there's the chicken. I put the chicken in the wrong oven and didn't cook it. So I sit there an hour. So no dinner for us because my enchiladas were in the wrong oven. I don't know. I mean, when you push the button, I can't see. So it's a double oven, and you push the timer on the double oven, you set it, and I can't see some days which one's actually on. So that's my story, Tom. That's all I got.
Do you need some reading glasses? Are you of that age where you need some reading glasses?
No, it's like a straight line, and you look at which one is top and which one is the bottom, and I'm telling you, it's tough to see.
I gotcha. Well, and on top of everything else, because I was so excited about my issues this morning, I was being a little bit loud. So sorry, Brian. Brian commented that my mic was too loud. I think it was not the mic. I think it was me. I was talking a little bit louder than I normally do, so I'll try to modulate my volume and stop shouting about how frustrated I've been this morning. Maybe I just need to take a breath and settle in to not the smartest guys in the room with all of our friends here, and we'll start talking about what's going on in the world.
Tom, I like this, Tom. You're like shot out of a cannon today. It's a more energetic Tom. Not that less energetic Tom is, but I like the zest. So Brian, although I do think there is a little bit of muffle, but Brian Alves, I like the psyched up Tom.
I was actually wondering if I should swap mics. So like I'm using a different mic. I'm not using my podcast mic. Switch mics.
Yeah, I would switch it. You're definitely overmodulated, even with the reduced volume. It's pinging the levels. It's not good.
Okay. All right. I will do that then.
Now that's some expertise, John. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. So let's get this started. So Tom's talking about having a bad day. Like some days you have a bad day. Some days everything goes wrong. Some weeks everything goes wrong. So Johnny, we'll start with John J. What do you do? Like you're in business. Let's say in business today, everything goes wrong. Every one of your customers is mad at you. The podcast, the radio show, the tower falls over in the middle of your show, and then when you try to fix it, you get electrocuted. What do you do, man?
Well, first of all, I had to put things in perspective. There's really good days where everything goes right, and there's really difficult days where everything's a challenge. But I'm above ground. I'm breathing in and out, and I've got an opportunity to do things. I did an interview yesterday with a retired Jacksonville police officer. He was shot 7 times with a .45 caliber semi-automatic pistol, first one in the face. And to listen to this guy talking about how much he loves life and the opportunities given, it kind of makes it hard. I'll be honest with you, it makes me feel guilty about sweating some of the small stuff. And a lot of stuff really is small. So if we're above ground, we got an opportunity. We may have challenges today. I might have challenges today, but I've got an opportunity to learn from it and do better tomorrow. So, but I want to say this because Dominic mentioned the enchiladas. I've got to go at 4:15 after work to get my eyeglasses. I've been putting off for a long time. I'm of a certain age where it's a requirement. I can't even see to get a sight picture on my handgun for qualifying. So it's past time. So, but I am alive, and I'm gonna take the best opportunity, the best advantage of the opportunity I've been given. So, I'd love to tell you I'm that way every day. I'm not, but today I am. Thanks.
Right on, man, and well said. And I'm reading the Four Agreements right now, and they're so hyper focused on like appreciating the moment, not worrying about what anybody else has to say, not worrying about anybody else's thoughts on you. If they say you're good, don't stress it. If they say you're bad, don't stress it. Just living in this moment of happiness of where you are at. Like me eating enchiladas, that makes me happy. They're my mom used to make enchiladas, and so she never passed on that recipe to me. And now she's at home and can't really, but I tried to duplicate the enchilada process over the last couple of years, and so that's where my search for good enchiladas has come from. So she was from New Mexico, so always made like we had enchiladas at my house and rather than like meatloaf. And she did make some weird stuff like dried fish and things like that. I can't explain it, but and then every once in a while she'd try to make street corn nachos, street corn with like the mayo on it. I don't know that she knew what she was doing, but anyway, all right. Not the smartest guys in the room. We will continue. Johnny, when everything's going wrong, how do you pick yourself up? How do you get through it?
I have this philosophy of life that there's no such thing as a bad day. There's no such thing as a bad day, a bad week, a bad year. There are obstacles and there are challenges that present themselves, but you choose how you react to them. You choose whether or not you are going to be upset, angry, or, just face the problem and fix it. Or, here's the bottom line. Unless you are a EMS, police officer, military, nobody's life is on the line. We're not putting people on the moon unless you are a rocket scientist. But, we're not putting people on the moon. Nobody's life is on the line. And you can completely control how you react to obstacles and challenges. And one of the ways that I maintain a positive attitude, even in the light of obstacles and challenges, is every single day I give myself something to look forward to. I create an event. I create a time. I do something that I know, no matter how tough that challenge is, I'm going to get to a place where I can completely move past it, forget about it, and focus on something that brings me absolute joy. And so that's my whole philosophy of life every single day.
Right on, Johnny. Look forward to something every day. And isn't there so much to look forward to? You notice like the happy people seem happy no matter what's going on. Like Johnny seems like a happy dude, and no matter what's going on, he seems like energized and charged up. And that's the kind of person I want to be around. Thank you, brother. Not the smartest guys in the room, and not the smartest people, but hey. I want to go over my list that I'm going to bring up to you. We're going to keep on this subject, but Threads from 100 million down to 500,000 active users. Clubhouse has, I think I read 10 million active users. Twitter changed its name to X, but storytelling is at an all-time, it's almost romanticized right now at a all-time high. So how how are some things dropping, and in other ways the story's never been grander than it's been. So that is a topic I wanted to propose. What Tom's looking at me. Go on, Tom. What do you want to say? What wasn't I clear on? God.
Well, yeah, no, I'm not. I'm just not sure. And guys, let me know. I changed. I adjusted some things.
No, it still sounds pretty bad, Tom.
Yeah, you're still pretty hot, Tom. Check
horrible
your
feedback.
input levels. Are you using a computer or a roadcaster, or what are you using?
Yeah, no, it's got to be the input level. Then I will adjust. You know what? Actually, let me check one setting here. Hang on. Let's just try the one thing real quick.
I think it's funny. Anybody else want to comment on Tom's microphone while he doesn't sound good? Go ahead.
Is that any better?
I want to know if he's having a bad day right now.
I've been having a day. Everything I've touched has not worked today. So is that any better, John?
That is definitely better. Now, if you can back off the mic about an inch, you're probably good to go.
Okay. So yeah, I'll drop the gain one more notch. I can't really back off. It's where the mic is set up. It's actually, a couple of feet away from me. It's a shotgun mic. It's not a large diaphragm condenser. So anyway,
hold on. Now you got to tell us what the difference between a large diaphragm and a condenser is. Come on. A large diaphragm condenser mic is, I kind of what it sounds like, in terms of, it's literally the diaphragm that's in a microphone. Basically, the way microphones work is there's a diaphragm. So think of, like, when I say diaphragm, think of like the top of a drum, right? Like that's a diaphragm, right? So there's a diaphragm in the microphone, and that diaphragm reverberates, vibrates from the sound that's in the ambient air around it, and that gets transformed into an electrical signal, and then that electrical signal gets reinterpreted on the other end by speakers, and the speakers vibrate and they make sound, and that's how you reproduce sound, right? So essentially, a large diaphragm condenser microphone means that it's literally a big diaphragm. So most large diaphragm condenser microphones that you use for like vocals in a studio, that you use for radio, that you use for, a lot of people use for podcasting, those kinds of microphones tend to have really good reproduction, but they only work when you're very close to them. They have a very narrow pickup field, and the diaphragm in them is like the size of a 50-cent piece, right? It's big, right? Or depending on the microphone, anywhere from like a quarter to a 50-cent piece. Whereas obviously in a lavalier microphone, a little microphone you clip on your lapel, right? A lapel mic, that, as a lot of people know them. Those microphones obviously have tiny, tiny, tiny diaphragms, but they pick up and they have a relatively narrow pickup field also. And then there are like shotgun microphones or unidirectional microphones that have a wide pickup field, so they don't condense the sound as much. That's what I mean when I was talking about a large diaphragm condenser microphone versus a shotgun microphone. I'm gonna drop the level one more, the input gain a little bit more on the microphone, so it won't be quite as hot. But I think it was an automatic setting in Restream that was actually causing the issue. It was an auto gain setting in Restream that was like over modulating the mic. I think that's what it seems like to me. I accept your explanation, Tom. I think you did he beat it? Did he beat a dead horse? Are we good with that explanation? John, Johnny, Jolie? Hey, they're not mad at you.
No idea what he's talking about, but
okay,
I got the diaphragm.
Okay, so when it comes to microphones, we have now learned Tom's up there. Okay, go on, Tom.
I got a little nerdy, but you asked, so I answered.
I
right?
did.
I got a little tech nerdy, but you asked, so.
Well, you should have seen the look on my face when Dominic asked that question. I was shaking my head, going, "No!" Like those commercials. No, don't go there.
Not that question, please, Dom. No.
I'm going to see how many obscure questions I can ask today to watch, like, I don't know, like people's faces just falling out of the room. As,
Well, so who's more at fault here, right? Like, who's the bigger dummy, Dom for asking the question or me for actually answering it, right? Or I should have said nobody really wants to dig in that deep or that granular, right, on it. I probably should have brushed that one off, but I couldn't help myself.
you can have a one-on-one with Tom about that microphone. Okay, so come on, let's talk. No, nobody wants to talk about my apps dying. I noticed that the last couple of weeks. A couple of weeks ago, I mentioned one app was going down, another app going down. Nobody wants to talk about it.
I mean, we can talk about it. Let's talk about it.
I just want to know. Well, like, so the question is, you go from 100 million to 500,000, or you go from whatever. This app has 10 million active users. What is it about? What makes an app stay? What makes it grow? Why is it a buzz? Like, why is Threads have this buzz? Yeah, I get it. It was an easy push to switch everybody over there from Instagram to Threads. You got your followers, and now I think people see the app's not that much different. It hasn't offered anything new. So, but I love apps, so I'm all I love apps. I love first to market. I believe in like this voice audio app. I believe in it. I have other digital apps like Facebook and Instagram. This is the only, let's say, voice app that I use. So that's why I'm here. That's why I remain here. Johnny, go on.
So I think the key is the community that uses the app. So, obviously X has already developed a huge community who uses that Twitter-based app for specific purposes and in a specific way. Threads was trying to pull people over from Instagram to a Twitter-based platform or Twitter-like platform. Well, people who are on Instagram are using Instagram for a specific purpose and a specific style and a specific reason, and they weren't necessarily on Twitter to begin with. So they there's that user base. Sure, they're going to check it out because of the big push and the big hype, but at the end of the day, that's not their style. That's not what they're using social media for, or the kind of social media they want to engage in. And with these audio-based apps, I mean, we saw Clubhouse, and then we saw Fireside, and then we saw Wisdom and Breakout, and there are a bunch of them. But at the end of the day, Clubhouse is the one that remains, and I think it's because the community of people who are using it as a true networking learning tool. Fireside was a hot garbage fire. Fireside. It was a mess. It was a chaotic dumpster fire. And while Breakout is really cool, it just has not, at least in my opinion, had the quality of contributors and people on that app to bring me back to it every single day. So it's the people who use the app that make the app something special, I think.
All right, Johnny, good answer, man. Hey, Julie, Prof T, Dragon, Harry Spade in the house. Matt, what's going on? Hey, Julie, where do you weigh in on this? And if you want to tell us about how to get through a bad, like, shit goes wrong. Like, let's say,
Every
like,
day.
Yeah, like kids didn't tell you they need a ride. They didn't wash their clothes. Your internet goes down when you have a big appointment. Sometimes it's stacks on stacks on stacks. And like, let's say, and then, like, so in my world, some days it's stacks on stacks on stacks. And then I'll get an email from one of my buddies who I was in pharmaceuticals with, and they'll be like, new job paying X amount with car with bonus. And I'm like, oh, gee. I just have to delete the message, right? Because I'm like, I can't even look at that because I'm here. But what do you do? How do you stay the course?
I don't stay the course. And I'm not kidding. Like I will be on a Zoom or a meeting and I will have specifically my youngest son right behind the computer throwing up like with the flu. And I just keep a smile on there and I might put it on mute for a while. Or I've had back in the day, like when, you know, the pandemic first hit, I'd be on a call and I was homeschooling my kids, which is hilarious. First of all, they would jump behind the camera and they would start beating each other up. They would get in a fight and I'd be like, oh my God, like what is wrong with my life? But it's all about getting out of your own head. When I get out of my own head and stop focusing on myself, it makes it a lot easier. And when you're talking about all like the decline with X/Twitter/ all the other, just specifically maybe threads, they just haven't figured out how to make us addicted to it because we're all addicted here to Clubhouse in a way. Why are we here? Because there's a dopamine is being released right now. Like, oh, Dom and Tom like us. Oh, they want to hear our voices. Oh, we can talk about ourselves. It is about that dopamine rush. And I'm thinking that Threads kind of went flat on giving us like constant dopamine release. Because it's true. I mean, why are you here right now? There has to be some reason that's addictive. And that's what creators are doing, like purposely making us addicted to these apps. So why is Harry here? Because he wants to sell with dignity. And there's a rush about being around your friends and community too. So I'm just going to throw that out.
Nah, you're here for the thought-provoking questions, Julie. Come on.
I totally am
Everybody's here
not
for the
at all.
You are a
I'm-
thought provoker.
I'm here to hear Tom talk about the diaphragm of a microphone. Thank you, and I'm done.
Yeah, Jason, you missed that. Tom went on for about 15 minutes. It's
Oh,
9:53. Tom went on for about 54 minutes about.
No, I came in right at the right time. My ear was scratching and ringing. And I said, okay, not the smartest guys is going. All right, time to go.
54 minutes. Come on. And hey, not for nothing, buddy, but you're the one that asked the question. All right. So we got to share responsibility. Credit where credit's due, good or bad. The thing I wanted to say about your question about like X, right? In particular, like let's look at X v Threads, right? And your question about like the users, the user numbers for Threads going, spiking sky high and then falling off a cliff. Well, I think they're probably, I don't know what their numbers were, in like sort of the days leading up before they hit that spike, but they launched and it took off like wildfire, right? And I'm kind of like, I think it should be analogized to the way you look at a video that kind of goes viral on the internet that just gets shared and shared and shared and shared and shared and shared, right? And you see this huge spike in views, right? In participation, in engagement for a piece of content. And I think Threads was sort of, followed that model, right? In terms of, downloads and people signing up for the app and starting to use the app, et cetera, right? Is all of a sudden it was the new shiny thing. Everybody was really excited about it. And then it fell off a cliff because, as you said, people realized like there wasn't really anything that special or unique about it, right? It was sort of, everybody got really excited about a shiny new thing. And then they were like, oh, it's not that shiny. It's not that new. And the luster kind of wore off. I think they probably would have retained more daily users had simultaneously Twitter gone away, right? If Twitter had actually ceased to exist at the same time or right around that time period, I think they would have maintained a lot more daily users because people would have jumped and looked for something to completely replace Twitter. And instead, we're back to kind of that sort of transition and people moving away from Twitter happening more slowly because it still exists, right? It's now called X. This is all like a crazy, sort of weird project from the, quote unquote genius Elon Musk, who spent $44 billion on something that was obviously not worth $44 billion. who has, is trying to turn it into, sort of America's version of, I think, is it WhatsApp in China? But there's a couple of apps.
It's called WeChat.
WeChat, that's right, Dragon. Thank you. He's trying to turn it into basically the US's version of WeChat, which is essentially an all-in-one app that people basically run their lives through, right? It includes payments. It's all the things that like Facebook has started trying to do, Apple has been trying to do, but Americans are not really buying into it the way it's been bought into in other parts of the world. But he's basically trying to turn it into WeChat, and that he tried to do the same thing with PayPal, which is how he got kicked out of PayPal. In this case, he's the private owner of Twitter/X. And so he's able to do it without anybody kicking him out. But the investors, might have something to say when he stops being able to make payments on the interest that he's accruing on the billions of dollars that he borrowed to buy Twitter. And then, a couple of months or less than a year into owning Twitter, took that incredibly valuable brand and threw it away. And there's some speculation that was an intentional move by him so that he can actually declare bankruptcy, it's, I don't know. There's a lot of machinations that I'm not a bankruptcy expert, but I've heard people talk. I've listened to a bunch of people talking about, and I've read some stuff, some articles about how there are some maneuverings that would be advantageous to him if he separates the business from the brand, right? Which is why he stopped using, he rebranded, he renamed it X. So he separated that the Twitter brand from the business. So yeah, I don't know. It's all a freaking mess. But I think at the end of the day, it's a pendulum swing, right? I mean, people jumped on Thread because it was the shiny new thing. It swung the pendulum way up. You got this huge spike in users. And then people realized it wasn't that shiny, it wasn't that new, it wasn't that different, and they dropped back off. And I think from now we'll start to see sort of a little bit more of a steady increase in users, and a little bit more of a sustainable growth in properties like Threads. But that spike, I think, was just the shiny new thing, the shiny new toy. That's what it was a reaction to. It was kind of a virality thing. That's what I think.
Julie makes a good point about that dopamine hit, though, that the app, from the look of it and everything, from the notifications to the hearts to the anything, I don't know that it really provides the dopamine hit like looking at all your smiling faces. And I mean, everything is a little bit muted and smaller there. Dragon, go on.
Can I jump in on this quickly?
Yeah, wait, Dragon, go on. That was who was talking. Go on.
Yeah, go for it.
And then we'll go to Prof T. Go on.
Yeah, I'll send it right back to you, Tom, if you had something else. It's an interesting observation. This is a great conversation in so many ways because, everybody here is looking to move forward in some way. Everybody here wants to be happier, healthier, and wealthier. And, I would assume you're devoting some of this time here today in the great Dominick's room, to look for some of these things. So this conversation brings up a couple of things. We used to use the old saying that, where attention goes, energy flows. But, here we are. I looked up this stat, today, that the average American, and this is just in your waking time, spends 7 hours and 4 minutes a day in front of a screen. And that's just, the average. So, what's shifting now is it's going from where attention goes, energy flows, to where energy goes, attention goes, right? So what you guys are talking about, and I find it ironic that when the pop-up comes from X, it looks like Threads. It's got the same color tone and stuff like that. So what's going on in social media is obviously a vie for our attention. But the big picture here in, the idea in the spirit of wanting to move forward in life, most of the shit that we're being swayed to look at is not really useful. I mean, it's useful if you're using it, but it's not useful just looking at it, right? So it's just an interesting observation to look at a couple of things right now. We're spending more and more time interfacing with the world and reality in front of a screen. So that's something I think we all need to wake up to. And some very, very wealthy and smart people are vying for our attention and going even deeper with algorithms and things like that. Now, a lot of people here are very good at using those tools. So this message goes out to people that might be wasting time being persuaded by those things. I think some people here probably need to get out and, fucking get barefoot in the grass every now and then. But that's just an observation I wanted to share because our time is very valuable. And while we're looking at whether or not Threads was successful or X is going to be successful, and by the way, remember when the idea of PayPal came out with that same dude, everybody thought that's fucking stupid. Nobody's going to use that. That turned out pretty good. So, his idea of X being an all, purpose WeChat like thing. I mean,
Wait,
we'll
does
talk
who
about
owns
it until all of
PayPal?
a sudden it becomes that, and we'll all be like, holy crap, that was a good idea. So anyway, I just wanted to share that, and I'll land on that. I think it's important for us to all be aware that to a certain degree, we're being moved in a direction, and we don't have to be.
Go on, Tom, and then if you want to answer Julie's question about PayPal, go on, answer your question, then we'll go to our friend Prof T. Hey, let me pause 1 second here just for something. Okay, this is important. If anybody's watching the live stream, you'll see behind me, where is it? I have a sign that says, if you can dream it, you can do it. My friend Jim Ajay, who's down in the House members there, his son just left for the National Guard yesterday. So I thought we should clap his son up just for raising a responsible man that wants to give back to the community, give back to the states and stuff like that. So we appreciate you, Jim. We appreciate your son. And if you can dream it, if you can do it, the sign behind me is from my friend Jim Ajay. So thank you. And thanks to your son, Jim. Appreciate that.
Hey, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks, Jim, for your son for his service. And thank you obviously for the support that you give him to do the work that he does. Much appreciated for sure. Yeah, I mean, to answer, I guess to answer Julie's question, I mean, this is kind of something I wanted to jump in on as well, just to sort of dispel some things. I mean, Dragon kind of hit on this a little bit, but I just want to be very clear. When I talk about Elon Musk, not being as smart as a lot of people give him credit for, I want to be super clear. He did not found PayPal. He was not a founder of PayPal. He was not a co-founder of PayPal. He was not the CEO when it released its first IPO, or when Conformity, which was the sort of original company, became PayPal. He wasn't the CEO then either, right? He became the CEO later. He tried to change PayPal, which had, at that point, the brand had become incredibly valuable, had become a verb. People were saying, PayPal me this, PayPal me that, right? The same way we use Venmo now. And he got ousted from PayPal, ousted from his role as CEO, thrown out essentially by the board, because he was trying to destroy that valuable brand, right? That valuable property that they had. So he also, just to be very clear, did not found Tesla. He didn't start Tesla. He took money that he had from his ownership stake in what eventually became PayPal. He took money from that and he used it to buy out the original founders of Tesla, which a lot of people don't know. He didn't start Tesla. They actually already had the Tesla Roadster, the first car that Tesla ever made, already existed, was already driving around in California when Elon Musk got involved. Is he a disruptor? I think that's fair to say. I don't know that that's always a positive thing. Is he an innovator? Sometimes. I think ultimately what he's really, really good at is convincing people to give him money. That's what he's really good at. He's really good at getting investment for projects. And a lot of times his projects don't go anywhere, right? I mean, we hear, you know, people talk a lot about Tesla. People talk a lot about SpaceX. You know, he's really good at taking credit for things that he didn't actually do, i.e. he didn't design Tesla cars, right? Or build them, right? Or play an integral role in the development of them. He got the funding for them, right? He didn't design the rockets, the SpaceX rocket. He maybe had some of the ideas that led to some of the innovations, but like he takes credit and people give him credit as if he's done this all by himself, right? And he absolutely did not, right? The people who work at Tesla deserve the lion's share of the credit for Tesla, right? The people who work at SpaceX who actually did the work day to day of developing those spacecraft and those rockets, they deserve the lion's share of the credit. And I think it's indicative of poor leadership that he takes credit and doesn't give credit where credit is due to the people on his team that made his success possible, right? He is only successful because the people that have worked on his projects, right, have created that success. He's not successful all by himself, right? But he would have you believe that he is. And I think it's indicative of poor leadership that he kind of takes sole credit, publicly takes sole credit for the work that these companies do. And yeah, he's, like I said, he's been really good at getting funding for these projects, particularly funding from our federal government. So billions and billions of dollars of the funding that has gone into Tesla, that has gone into SpaceX, that has gone into whatever that stupid tube project he had going on in California was, that hasn't gone anywhere. Like almost all of the funding for those things has or the lion's share of funding for those has come from public funding, right? Has come from the federal government in the form of loans, some of which are not going to be paid back. So, basically he's been really good at getting federal dollars to pay for these pet projects. That's what he's excellent at, right? Like I think we should do everything we can to recognize that people like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates and Zuckerberg and all of these guys at the end of the day are just individual people, right? And while they may have created very valuable intellectual property, while they may have, created companies that have become incredibly successful, they do not deserve sole credit. And at the end of the day, they're just people like all the rest of us, right? Like maybe they're a little bit different, maybe they're a little bit exceptional in certain ways, but they're still just people, right? And we should stop kind of putting them up on these pedestals that we put them up on, right? They don't necessarily deserve to be as exalted as the sort of general public has made them. I don't know, just my two
Well,
thoughts.
Don't you think they just mastered relationships? That's really what they did. They got money, they mastered relationships. They didn't master anything else. Like I too believed in the smoke about Elon, but then when I looked in, I was like, those guys that created Tesla, they're actually working on another project in San Jose, making a better vehicle that can go 2,000 miles in Silicon Valley. It's not talked about in the headlines, but because I live so close to Silicon Valley, those guys that made it, they're making a better one with a battery that outlasts what they currently have out on the market. And everything in the media is trying to suppress what their new breakthroughs are. And they're coming out with a truck. I mean, imagine that, an electric vehicle that has a truck, 2,000 miles, and a battery that lasts more than 10 years. So, innovation doesn't get the credit it's due. You're right about that, Tom.
Yeah, and I think
hold on 1 second. Let's go.
Hold on. Yeah,
Let's go. Tom and Johnny.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. So no, I agree with you. I think that and I was just looking in the comments, from some folks in the room. I think, credit where credit is due, right? Do people who have the original idea deserve credit for that idea? Absolutely. right? To people who have, like, whoever had the idea, I don't know who it was, but whoever had the idea, right, and decided to push towards implementing this notion of reusable rockets, right, that SpaceX does, right, where they land these boosters back on a pad and are able to reuse them. I think that's great. And I think whoever came up with that idea and pushed it forward deserves credit for that. But no one deserves sole credit. It's not like Elon Musk was in a barn in Iowa, like creating this thing, and then just showed up one day and said, hey, look, guys, I got a booster rocket that you can fire into space and I can land it back on the roof of my barn, right? Like, that's not how it worked. He doesn't deserve sole credit. He didn't create it by himself, right? So, like, does he maybe deserve credit for pushing that idea forward? Absolutely, and I'm happy to give it. But, like, he didn't create it in a vacuum. He didn't do it by himself, and he doesn't deserve sole credit for it, right? That's kind of the crux. That's kind of the crux of my argument there. And I think, when it comes to, things like, we talk about a lot of things that are sort of, or Jason was talking about relationships. Sorry. Let me gather my train of thought. Jason was talking about relationships. I think what Elon Musk has been exceptionally good at is controlling or influencing public opinion, right? And public perception. He's really good at that. He's really good at public relations for himself, or at least he has been for a long time. He's kind of gone off the rails in the last couple of years, but for a long time, he was really, really good at painting this sort of public relations picture of himself and getting people to buy into it. Right. And he did incredibly well at that. It's part of the reason why so many people believe that he created Tesla, that he created PayPal, that he created SpaceX all by, like, that he did all of these things all by himself. It's because of this very carefully crafted public image that he's curated for years. Right. But I would just say, if you want more proof of, like, don't believe the hype, like, Elon has said it himself over and over and over again. If you go back and look, there have been a series of events that he's done over the course of years where he has said over and over and over again, in the next 6 months or this year or next year, we will have fully autonomous self-driving vehicles. He has promised it over and over and over again, to the extent that you actually pay, if you buy a Tesla, if you want the capability, and I'm using air quotes for those of you who can't see me, the capability to have fully autonomous driving when it's legally available. That's how they paint it. They say we can't do it right now because legally we're not allowed to. The government is stopping us from doing it. But if you want to have the ability when all the legal stuff is worked out, you have to pay an extra for an additional computer to be put into your Tesla. And I think it's about $6,000 to $10,000 to have that capability, right? That capability is never coming. It's never going to happen, right? On any of the Teslas that exist right now, there will not ever be fully autonomous self-driving, right? It's just not going to happen because Tesla doesn't have the technology to make it happen, right? But they're trying to claim that they do, and they have been claiming for years that they do. So if you want a really clear example where you can, like, see it coming right out of his mouth and see how it hasn't come to fruition, I think that's a perfect example. Tesla has been promising for, like, over 10 years that there would be fully autonomous self-driving in a very short time frame, and it's nowhere to be seen, and it's not coming down the road. It's not going to happen anytime soon. So, take that for what it's worth. We'll go to Johnny. Johnny, what did you have to add, buddy?
So, speaking of Elon and being able to make connections and relationships and get people to give him money and curating a public persona that facilitates that is an amazing talent and an amazing ability that very few people really understand or have. I wish I could get people to give me money to fund projects. I've never had that ability. Everything I do, I fund out of my own pocket, because and I get people who believe in the project. They're like, yeah, we love it. Dom all the time says, I love everything you're doing, Johnny. But if I came to Dom and said, hey, Dom, I need $2,000 make this project a reality, I would be not saying anything against you, Dom, but you're probably not going to give me $2,000.
Hey man, but I did buy Night Right the other day. So go on.
Yes, you did. And but if I had the ability to do what Elon Musk has done, or what, Bill Gates has done, or, any of these guys who have, been able to get people to give them money to take a swing at a big idea, because that's what these guys are. They're big idea people. They're dreamers.
I love the big idea, Johnny. I'm just jumping in the big idea.
Yeah. And to get people to give you money to take a swing at a big idea is an amazing ability. And let's think about this. I use that analogy, taking a swing, for a reason, because Tom, you're right. We might not get fully autonomous driving cars from Tesla, but he's selling the dream, he's selling the idea, and he's going to take a swing, or they're going to take a swing, and they will probably miss. But if they take enough swings at enough pitches, they're going to hit a home run. Babe Ruth was the home run king, but he was also the strikeout king. He actually struck out more times than any other player of his era, because he swung at every pitch that was thrown, whether it was a good pitch or a bad pitch. And I think that's kind of Elon Musk in contemporary pop culture and technology. Is he creating himself? Maybe not. But is he able to get the money to fund that swing? Yes. Is he going to strike out a lot? Yes. But when he hits a home run, it's a big home run. And I think that's, kind of the hallmark of big dreamers and big idea people. So anyway, I commend him for that. I have no personal opinion about the guy as a person, a businessman, but as a dreamer and a disruptor and someone who pushes things forward, I admire the guy's amazing talent.
Well said, Johnny. All right, we're going to Prof T, Harry, Matt, and Dragon, unless somebody knows something specific. Prof T, go on.
Hey, good morning, everybody. How are you?
How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. Trying to navigate where the topic's going, because I love what Tom was saying. There's just so many places I can go. I'm actually looking at you guys on the screen, and I'm laughing because I'm thinking about the power of now. And Dom, your screen, I'm looking at Goodfellas, and if you can dream it, you can do it, and the boxing heavyweight champion, and I'm just looking at the books, and my imagination is just going crazy, and my creative side is just all over the place. And then I look at Tom and I feel zen, and it's peaceful, and the background is cozy and calming. That's the world I live in every day, you guys. Look at those books. Wow, Dom.
And this is the Junkyard Dog. I'm holding up the Junkyard Dog just for you. Junkyard Dog, a thumb wrestler. Very cool. All right, go on.
Well, maybe one day you'll have the grid system there, or at least a picture of it. Maybe you can screenshot it and cut and paste it and
put it up in the corner. Yep.
Yeah. So thank you. I do see that. But that's kind of what life is, you guys. One day it's creative, it's exciting, it's all over the place, and then one day you just need a mind break and you need zen. And I'm going to I'll go back to this quickly about the now, because I think someone was talking about that. What do you do if you have a bad day or a good day? And that's just life, and you've got to put it in perspective. And I'll give you a real live example. My son is a police officer, and last night texted me and said, I was just second on scene of a young person who was working for the sanitation department, 31 years old, got stuck under the trash truck. And my son was second on scene and saw the whole thing and just watched this poor kid be crushed to death. And it was so funny because that day I was just thinking about all the things I didn't do, I got to do, thinking about tomorrow, thinking about yesterday. And boy, did that just bring it into perspective, because you just don't know what it's going to hold today, tomorrow. So that's where I am. That's how I'm choosing to live my life. And I just put something on the other day on my 2 minutes with Teresa, like cleaning out your closets is like, that's how you got to clean out your mindset. And some things just don't fit you anymore. Some things have holes in them. Some things don't look right. They're so last year. So that's how I choose to live my life. And there's things that are going to get taken out of your life, people, places, and things that will just naturally be taken away from you to make room for, what I believe is the next segment of life. So I hope that helps a little bit. As far as Elon Musk, I love dreamers. That's what all creatives are. We're dreamers. So I have lots of stock in electric, and the debate is heated, but I'm going to leave my stocks right where they are. Thanks, you guys. It's always a pleasure to be here. I'm looking at your beautiful faces, you guys, and you're so cute. And this is the first time I've actually sat in front of my big screen on my computer, on my PC, while I'm on this call looking at you guys. And you guys are not only the smartest guys in the room, the cutest. Happy faces.
We'll take all the compliments we can get. Thank you. Appreciate everyone. Appreciate you, Prof T. Thank you. And just pause for some motivation since you offered it up. Yeah, there you go, Bell, for some motivation. I would challenge anybody today, no matter what you have going on, stop at any moment today, tomorrow, and look around. Just think. And like my friend Chris Worth and Tom's friend, they've been buddies since great elementary school, right? Chris sets a gratitude clock on his watch, and he'll stop at like 2 and 6 and be like, I'm thankful for this. What I'm challenging you for is stop on your way to the mall, stop when you're at Walmart, stop when you're in a long line somewhere and think about something you're grateful for. Look at this. I've been trying to do a better job with this, and I'll be standing somewhere or whatever, and I'll just look up at the sky and be like, thank you. Look at that sun. It's talking to me. And my wife and my kids are like, what the hell's wrong with you? I'm just like, we'll be driving somewhere and I'm just, yeah, look at this cloud. Look, that one looks like a dog, anything that you can find. I'm thankful for this, for that. And I would think that we would all be a little off if you just take that moment. Go on, Tom.
I was going to say, I love that idea. I love the idea of stopping and just being grateful at different points throughout the day for things that you're experiencing, for what you're seeing, all of the above. 100% agree. Couldn't agree with you more. I do have a question though. On your way to the mall, who goes to malls?
Yeah, we got malls. What's your problem, man? What's Tom's beef with malls? What's wrong with the mall? What do you got?
Who goes to malls, Boomer?
Okay, well, let's talk about this. I live in Pittsburgh, and it rains 9 months a year. So, and I drop my daughter's 14, so I'm dropping her off at the mall. She could go every day and never get enough of the mall, so I'm always there.
Really?
Yeah, man.
Full circle. Teenagers are hanging out at the mall again, right? Like just like we did in the 80s.
Yeah, she's a mall rat. I mean, we called it a mall rat. I mean, she's there like at the food court and wandering around. And now the mall closed early when I was hanging out at the mall. Go on.
I was going to say it kind of makes sense because like young teenagers and teenagers now are dressing the way we dressed in like the late 80s again. Right? Have you noticed that?
No, come on. I consider myself growing up in the 90s.
Well, I grew up, I was a teenager I became a teenager in the 90s, right?
Yeah.
But I was in the mall, I went to the mall, to meet up, my mom would take me, but we would go and meet up with friends, and the moms would go do something while the kids, went to the arcade or whatever when I was, in the 80s, right? So yeah, but, somebody's saying the distortion on my mic is unlistenable.
Oh, you got served.
Does it sound bad to you? Does it still sound bad? Is there an issue still?
It's not booming like it usually is. I don't know that
It did sound like you were in the bathroom when I first came in. So I was like, did he make a visit to an unknown zone? We don't know him in. Okay.
You don't sound as good as Jason sounds. That
it's
is
super strange. All right. I'm just gonna mute myself for a minute and swap microphones because
all right, do what you gotta do, man. We got
I don't know if I think Sean Savage left because I'm unlistenable.
And Sean's like a digital guy, man. That's
tough.
You got tough crowd.
I'll save a box of tissues for him, so it's all right.
And it is what it is, man. Okay, now we got my friend Harry Spate, and I put a little link. He's going to be one of the speakers at Creative Con, and he's going to talk about it's never too late. We have people starting podcasts, we have people starting businesses and things like that. And then it'll be the first time I get to meet Harry Spate. So Harry, man, what do you got going on today? It's nice to see you back on Clubhouse. He left for too long. So when we talk about that, people coming back to apps and things, there's Harry, handsome as can be. And I watch Harry chat all the time. Julie, do you watch Harry chat? Have you seen Harry chat?
I love Harry chat.
Harry chat's good. It's little short videos where he gives tips. Go on, Harry.
So great.
Could you get more love than that? Right? Go on.
Oh my goodness, man, I'm blushing. So this is an interesting conversation. I'll just add my 2 cents here in the sense of the positivity, motivation, gratitude. I'm going to throw in, get over the freaking fear. So this is all part of my journey over the past couple of years. And I look at various leaders in business and here on Clubhouse, and it seems like some people are fearless. And I had this little hang up, and the hang up was that there was a part of me fighting against me. When I finally analyzed that fear and ego are tied in with getting in the way of what I really wanted to do. So I finally was able to say, F the fear. So you guys are going to see this whole new thing that I'm doing. So the latest harrychat.com videos, it's humor. It's like, I'm just letting go and just like, F the fear. I don't care what people think. This is who I am. And if they don't like me, they'll move on. So they're not part of who I am anyway. And if they love it, then they're part of my tribe. So what was I afraid of? I don't know. So another little thought here is I just had this great conversation with a guy who said, not only do you want to do the gratitude, but he says, if you're sitting for longer than 20 minutes, which is what I do a lot, he says, get up and move around and get the blood circulating. So I need to set my clock, my alarms a little bit more in my day, but love the gratitude alarm. And I'm going to have a little mobility alarm so that I'll get off my fat behind and get a little exercise and sit back down refreshed and circulating. So I'll hand over the mic, but it's been fun. Thanks for your support.
Okay. Thank you, Harry. We appreciate you. Julie was clapping. Julie, did you want to add something there?
I like him getting off his fat behind.
Yeah, boy. Is everybody shot out of a cannon today? Tom's bugging out about Elon Musk starting trouble. We got people mad about Tom's mic. What next thing we're going to be arguing about chicken sandwiches?
Not the smartest guys having people leave because of Tom's mic and not the diaphragm mic.
I like how do I sound now, by the way?
Now that's a mic. Now that's a proper, that's an Emmy nominated mic right there.
Okay, cool. So I'll take that that I sound better now. I'll take that.
Do you agree, Jason? You know more about mics. I think he sounds good. A little loud, but that could be mine. Go on, Jason. What do you think?
It's crystal.
Give me a second to finish printing.
Come on, man. Heather says it's clear. Heather, your new pictures are all great. By the way, the branding, all cool stuff. I check it out, and I even like how you shared like with your audience. Hey, which of these pictures do you like? Probably if I did that, I wouldn't be wearing a shirt that said Mallow Cup in my picture. I'd be wearing something more sensible. So, all right, let's move. Not the smartest guys in the room. Okay. we got Matt. Matt was
Hold on,
Matt,
Dom. I gotta say one thing. I just want to say thanks to Victoria for your support in the chat. I was cracking up as I was swapping mics over to your response to Sean's criticism. So thanks for your support. Trying to sound as good as I can, and hopefully I sound a little bit better. I also turned the gain down just
Hey,
a
Tom,
hair.
your gain was like being overloaded with the power. That's what was causing your feedback. So I don't know, whatever you did with your gain, now it's a little bit more clear. So I'm giving you audio feedback right now.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
buddy.
man. Hey, okay, Matt. Matt commented before, Tom. I wanted to get to him. Matt, we always we try to move right to left unless there's like somebody that's like a microphone expert and we're talking about microphones or something. So I go across the screen and go based on when people come in, left to right. But I saw in the comments when Tom was talking about Elon Musk you were like, well, he helping make billions of dollars and take things to the masses. And I thought, well, there's Steve Jobs did the same thing. Bill Gates did the same thing. These guys are just the figurehead. So do they really take full credit or do they just, are they giving it? Go on, Matt.
I don't know their company culture. I think we can all agree. Look, I'm a Trump hating conservative. Elon Musk got once he took over, bought Twitter, he started getting the bad rap per se. But at the end of the day, man, these guys don't care, in my opinion, just an opinion, and I'm probably the dumbest guy in the room. And that is, man, these guys got to be pretty fucking brilliant to be worth not millions, not hundreds of millions, but billions with a B dollars. And I don't, you can look, we can pick those comments apart. We could debate this for the next 12 hours. But generally speaking, if you're worth billions with a B, you've done something right. And I admire those folks. I don't know if I want to be them because someone said earlier, made a great point. I produce 2 podcasts. One's about grief and big songwriter in Nashville. And he lost a son 3 years ago. And we've hosted people that have sons of kids have been murdered, to they've been sexually molested as a child, to cancer survivors, to someone who lost their life to cancer back a few months after we taped it. There is one thing I think I know we all can agree upon. Man, life is short. And it's especially those that have children. Man, we've hosted 4 guests that have lost kids. And ever since producing the show beginning a year ago, I look at my children a lot differently. Give them a hug every time they walk out the door, because you never know when you're going to see them again. And that goes for anybody in your life. So I'll end with that.
I think, I agree with you, Matt, that, if somebody has created, billions of dollars in wealth and in value in their companies, that they've done something right. From a business perspective, right? I agree with you that they've done something right. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they've done something good, right? And I think that's an important distinction to make. I think there's a lot of people, and I'm not saying you, I'm just speaking in general terms now, but I think a lot of people conflate doing something right in business and doing something good. That there has been a sort of false equivalency drawn between business success and good deeds, right? And I don't think that they are necessarily tied, right? That one goes with the other necessarily. Sometimes they do.
I respect that. And I totally 100% respect your opinion. I think I know what you're getting at. And man, if we were sitting in front of each other, we could sit down and debate this for a couple of hours over, and I would buy all the coffee in the world.
I think so too. But yeah, I mean, I think that's the distinction that I'm trying to draw, is that, society, right, and culture and media tends to deify people who have created tremendous amounts of wealth for themselves, for their investors, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm saying, while they are deserving of credit for those works are not necessarily deserving of deification, right? That they're not necessarily deserving of the awe that people look at them with.
I agree. I mean, I agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree with that statement. I'm nowhere in the awe of Steve Jobs when I'm looking at my iPhone right now. I'm not in the awe of the Steve Jobs. If he was walking down the street, came back to life and walking down the street, it's just like, he's personally, not professionally, personally, you know, we both have heartbeats. I'm in awe of what he was able to produce and how he has fundamentally changed our lives with one idea that he was able to bring to the table back in the mid 2000s.
I mean, no, exactly. I agree. And I think, you know, I hate to, I'm going to take this to a dark place, but
no.
Just for a hot second.
I tried to dodge it.
just for a hot second. Just quick, Dom. It's not going to hurt too bad. Trust me.
Okay, go on.
Here's what it is, right? So I agree with you, Matt. You know, clearly Steve Jobs was visionary in his approach and the direction he took Apple in, right? I 100% agree with you. The other side of things is, if you need evidence of just how flawed and fallible he was as a human being, with all the resources in the world at his disposal, with the best healthcare possible at his fingertips because of his wealth and his place in society, he instead chose to try to treat his cancer with juice. And that's why he didn't survive, pretty much, right? Because what's that?
I said, yeah, that's great. I recently discovered that, you know, a few years ago. So I was like, man, he could have fought this cancer and come out on the other side. But hey, you know,
very little doubt that he would have. Yeah, very little doubt that he would have survived. At the very least, he would have survived longer. Had he you know, used the resources at his disposal and the access to medicine that he had. But instead, he chose to treat cancer with juice, and obviously that didn't work out so well. So just to keep things in perspective, right? Was he visionary in some ways? Absolutely. Was he a knucklehead in other ways? Absolutely. We all are, right? I mean, and that's just kind of what I wanted to drive home, like talking about Elon Musk and these other guys, is like, look, just because they're visionary in one way doesn't mean that they aren't a complete freaking idiot in other ways. We all are, right? I'm really good at certain things and I'm a moron at other things. It's just the way we all are, right?
I always like to say, I know enough to get in my way.
There you go. I like it. I'm gonna relinquish my being shot out of a cannon for now, Dom. You'll be happy to hear.
You're good, man. It's
back, my friend.
I think every show we should needle Tom for about the first 5 minutes on something, and then get him fired up. If this is the kind of productivity we're going to get after. Negative reinforcement works on Tom.
My roommates in college, who are two of whom I'm still very close with, and they were groomsmen at my wedding in March, right? I mean, so we're still very close all these years later. They used to push my buttons on something that they knew that annoyed me. They used to bring it up and talk about it just to get me going, so they could basically they treated me like a wind-up toy. They would like wind me up on something they knew frustrated me or annoyed me, and then just kind of let me go and listen to me rant about it because they thought my rants were hilarious. They thought it was hilarious to get me running on something and just listen to me go on about it. So you're not the first to make that observation. And good to know I haven't changed, I guess, in 20 years.
Nothing wrong with being passionate. I love passion, man. And we talk about this sometimes. Like, I love kindness. And like, I want people to be kind, so kind, give to everybody. But you can never mistake kindness for weakness. And if there's a subject that you're passionate about, whether it's ending world hunger or whatever it is, homelessness, you know, fight for it. Sometimes you have to fight for what you believe in, and there's nothing wrong with that. Jason, go on, my friend. What do you got for us? Tom's fired up. Everybody's fired up.
Oh, of course. I'm a thought provoker every day, and that's what I do. You know, it's not, I don't always do it for good. I don't always do it for bad, but you know, the morality choice in which someone chooses their endeavors, whether they're the inventor, the innovator, the company funder, the CEO, it really doesn't matter because, you know, we're all self-interest. We're not self-made. We're community built. So when people take morality of what people have done with their abilities, their skills, their resources, their talents, whatever, and made billions out of it, and they learn to master relationships and being innovative with relationships and made a big company. I hate to say it, it's best to share some of the wealth, but you don't have to. It's those, and I learned from these moguls and people that I work for. And I learned the simplicity of like, if I've got to give some return. Well, where's the limitation? And who owes what? Like you look at Nikola Tesla, the guy got robbed by Thomas Edison and several other conglomerates. Why? Because he was a threat to their business. Alexander Bell also. There's lots of examples through history that we've forgotten, and yet we go look at Elon Musk like I never thought he was a guru. I heard he was a smart guy, but you know what? He remains recluse. Same with Jeff Bezos. I don't have to learn what the master does in his motivation. I just have to learn a process and how will it make my self-interest grow as I grow with my own community. My morality is my own. When I die and I meet my maker, that's my own. And that's why it's like, at the same time, who owes you what? You are born with an opportunity. You die at the end of your opportunity. So appreciate what you have. Sure, it'd be nice if you share with people and help people up. But if more people really thought about this, let's think about this. America is in a huge decline of business. We don't make enough. We complain, and that's our product. Our product needs to be about innovations, creations, keeping it home ground, and then also share with the world. They've learned from us. They've learned from our brands, our melting pot. You know, people from all around the world came here to do what? For a better life. My grandparents, you know, I'm an immigrant too. I was born in another country, even though my parents are actually, they're citizens, but I was born in another country. I understand. And when I work with these migrants out in the fields and when I attend to them in their legal matters, let me tell you, when you ask them, what's your greatest opportunity? And they'll tell you whether they're legal or not. They'll say, I'm here more than there. And I'll do. And you know what? And these people buy homes cash. They make a life for themselves. They pay attention to what matters to them most. So when you go out and we complain about, or we look at Elon Musk, however you want to, or any of these guys, if they change the platform from Twitter to X, that's their prerogative. They own it. We fund them, we follow them, and we do the same thing. We create things, you know, you guys here on Not the Smartest Guys, you guys are amazing. And I love seeing, you know, especially Dom, when you come through our show, The Big Idea. I love it when you come by. I want to see more of people because you know what? From Monday till Wednesday, there is a connect in minds, curiosity, innovations. Grow with it, man. It's just like, stop looking about what they do wrong. I am not judge. I'm not God, and I'm not going to kill them because I don't agree with them, you know, because of what they're not giving. But we all suffer from the same thing. We're born and we're going to die. You can't escape that. So that's where I end.
Right on, Jason. And we're going to soak up every second in between, man. The more we can smoke up. Yeah. Well, you can smoke up too. I said soak up, but I guess if you want to smoke up, so be it. All right. Let's keep this rolling. I don't know. Hey, not the smartest guys in the room. Now I'm talking about smoking up. I guess you could take gummies or edibles or whatever. You can do that. I don't know. Heather, what do we got? Straighten us out. I'm lost.
I mean, there's so many conversations going on, but I will say everybody's acting a little bold because it is a new moon today.
Okay.
So it's a new
What's that mean?
cycle.
What moon is that? Is it like new beginning? Is it in phase? Is it
Well,
blue
whenever
moon?
there's a new moon, there is always new beginnings, right?
Okay,
And
gotcha.
and this month is particularly powerful because we have 2 full moons in the month of August. So, you know, I'm leaning in more to my spirituality, which is really nice. Because there's a quote, and I forget who said it, but I hear it all the time, and they're like, millionaires don't follow astrology, billionaires do. So I just think about that all the time, and I'm like, okay, like I guess like just lean into like and in that vein of I'm sorry, I was looking at something. What Jason just said, you know, just meeting your, you know, what you have now, living in the now, your experience when you are born, if this is your experience, and your experience is over when you are done. So I really enjoy that, Jason. Thank you for that. And yes, it is a new moon, so everybody just chill out and just enjoy it, because this is actually time for like creating new things. So just step into that like new thing. And that's what I've been doing, right? Like obviously I have a new headshot because I'm almost 40, you guys. That graphic was actually created from a photo that I took of myself in my car outside of the Lorde concert. Lorde is a singer from New Zealand, and she's just awesome. Or is it Australia? One of those over there down under. But, you know, that was about 8 years ago, right? That photo that I created into an avatar that I created into, you know, Into the Black. That was 8 years ago. So, you know, I'm going to be sticking with it for my podcast of Into the Black. But for, you know, my professional self, I'm like, okay, like this is time for renewal and manifestation and what you really want in life. And this is the time. Now is the time to create what you want and go after what you want and put in the actions and the work, because manifestation is dead without works, right? Like that's just how it is. And that's my other thing about manifestation. Like it just doesn't happen. Like you have to put in the work. So this is the perfect time to put in the work towards the goal of something that you want, because right now is the perfect time for it to happen. And it is more likely to happen than if you don't put in the work, period. All right, thanks.
Heather, that's what I'm talking about. That's a motivation. Well done. Put in the work, talk about it, be about it, live it, move forward day by day. All those things start, take action, like Harry said, and it's never too late. So thank you for sharing that. Alicia, I wonder if this is that's Alicia. I believe it's Alicia, or is it Alyssa? Alicia. Damn it. I just don't know. I have a sister named Alyssa. Go on, Tom.
I'm going to go with Alicia or Alicia.
Alicia, okay.
Alicia.
Alicia, okay. Alicia, how are you today? And jump in on any of these topics. You can see we go all over the place because Tom gets mad. People get mad at Tom. I go off the rails. So anywhere you want to jump in and give us a tip or share a thought, go ahead.
I'm getting my triplets ready for their first day of 8th grade. We're doing morning routines right now. First, 13 years later, I still can't believe I have triplets. I have 5 kids in total. And I really can't believe they're the babies going into 8th grade. I'm having a day. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, they're going into 3rd grade. And I'm just going to stick with that. And they'll have to understand. So I'm very proud of their reading level at the 3rd grade, you understand.
We're just going to be graduating. Oh, they're going to
Alicia, right? Alicia. So
yeah.
we started off this room today on a day where, like, Tom, everything was going wrong for him this morning. And our friend Julie Loken was talking about COVID, having, I think she said 4 kids at home. And sometimes they'd be fighting each other and things like that. So how do you get through? What is some advice when things are going wrong for us to get through?
You know, I usually don't think, I mean, look, the things that annoy me the most are when the little things are going wrong, like all the little things. I don't actually too annoyed when the big things are going wrong because usually I'm wrong. Usually I just don't understand and can't see it. I'll give you an example. Can you hear me? I'm red bar. So I have 5 kids. And after the second kid, I had a really terrible miscarriage. I almost needed a transfusion. I was hemorrhaging, had to have surgery to stop it. Really scary experience. And that was, over 15 years ago now. These triplets, they had come very expectedly, and they had their problems and they had everything. But a lot of times life doesn't give you the opportunity to know that you had an opportunity until years later. And the reason that was an interesting opportunity is because it was going to be my third child, and I was going to be forced to have a C-section. And I had made this decision at the time with the third baby that I would have my tubes tied when they did the surgery. And so my tubes didn't get tied, and I ended up years later, with these unexpected triplets, which is, this huge joy. And there are other things that have happened all the time that I say, wow, see, I never would have guessed that this thing not happening brought me this other opportunity. So I'm so positive. It's not like toxic positivity. It's just this kind of positive. Like, let's say that I were delayed or my keys got locked in the car or something like that. I had the experience once where I was delayed, and at work that day, and I worked at a place. Well, I'll tell you, I sold Kirby vacuum cleaners. I was a manager selling Kirby vacuum cleaners. I was very young. And that particular day, the owner had come and he picked me up every morning, the owner of this business. And I was running behind, and this was the only time ever that he was like, well, I can't wait because I need to go somewhere. And as sad as it was, that place got robbed at gunpoint that day. Some of the people were hurt, and I felt really, really terrible. But I remember in that moment thinking, like, it was just the worst. I have this person waiting. I'm late. Now they're going to leave. I can't go to work. It's all this stuff. And we get ourselves worked up sometimes. And the fact that I wasn't there, right, was such a blessing. Yet earlier that day, I was so upset about my big problem being I was going to be late for work, when really the big problem that day was all these people that had to deal with someone breaking in. So bring you to my last point. Recently, I cold pitched to Forbes. I'm a journalist, I write, and I own a marketing agency. And when I pitched to Forbes, it was funny, the reaction of other people. I sent this very cold pitch, and I said, I want to have a column with Forbes. And I already knew that I wanted to have a column because I had pitched them 2 years ago, never get a response. And I had already been writing and everything. So they don't respond right away. And I was strategic how I pitched them. And I said, let me pitch the person that I happen to know is being responsive to people. I know that they're checking their emails. That's all I knew. They were not telling people, hey, yeah, sure, let's move forward. But I knew they were being responsive, and I had an excellent pitch. So I send it. I don't get a response right away. Then I finally get a response, and that person says, well, I'm really busy right now, but let me pass you off to this other person. They'll have a better idea what our contributor needs are right now. I said, okay. Passed on to this other person, and the other person says, all right, thank you very much. I'm going to need some time with this. So at that point, everyone around me, they said, oh man, I'm sorry. So what the hell are you sorry for? They said, well, like they're, they didn't tell you yes. And I said, no. I said, they didn't tell me no. Do you not see what the message says? The message says they need some time to sit with it. And that only makes sense because the pitch I gave was a little bit difficult in the sense that it was hard to pinpoint exactly which area would I be a columnist in because it kind of overlapped between marketing, women, and DEI. And I knew that. I knew I would. So the point is that I'm waiting. I follow up only one time. And when I follow up, she says, I'm sorry, I still need some more time with this. And everyone around me was negative. But I knew that that was a good thing because I had been engaged. It didn't matter what happened at this point because I had them engaged. I would have a response and I would probably know, even if they said no, why it wasn't a fit. But guess what? Because I was patient, because I just believed in the positive thing. When they finally come back to me, what they come back to me with is, hey, we'd like to meet with you. Okay, great. Set up the meeting. You've already been vetted. We already put you through the panel, right? We already had everybody check this. And we would love to work with you. And we'd love to bring you on as a columnist and send you over the contract. We just want to know if you're comfortable writing under this area. Because it was, we were trying to figure the best place for you to be. I would have ruined my chances because I would have gotten stressed. I would have been annoying in their inbox. I would have followed up too frequently and too quickly, and I would not have had that opportunity. So for me, I think everybody can look back at their experiences in life and think about all the times that they were wrong and all the times the bad thing wasn't actually a bad thing, because we all have them. And it helps you get through the day to day of not making that same mistake. And in anything that you do, a lot of times it wasn't the right time and it wasn't supposed to be that anyway. And there may be reasons that you have no idea. Have you ever left early and then gotten into a traffic jam and now you're late? And you think if I just would have left later, I would have made it on time? So that's my tip, is really just looking back at your own life and finding the things that I promise already exist there for affirmation that it's really not that bad. I hope that's helpful.
Thanks, Alicia. Yeah, I think it's one of those things, like when things get a little crazy, when things get a little hectic, it's important to sort of pause, take a deep breath, and I think in some cases, A, trust history, and B, trust your instincts. Right? I'm kind of dealing with something similar to what you were talking about with Forbes right now. I've got, as everybody here knows, I've got a book coming out, and just in the process of pitching myself to some podcasts to help promote the book, and took a big swing and pitched myself to the producer of a pretty big podcast, and a podcast that I'm a fan of, and got an email back, and then hadn't heard anything for a week. So I just sent a follow-up email with some more information, and yeah, I'm gonna let it be. If I don't hear anything in like maybe 2 weeks, I'll send another email, but I'm just gonna like kind of let it ride. Have confidence that when he told me he was gonna look at my excerpt and get back to me, that he will do that. So yeah, I can appreciate where you're coming from with Forbes, and sometimes it's hard to do, but exercising patience is definitely a virtue. So it's one that I struggle with. For sure. And I know a lot of other people do too, but try to exercise patience, take a deep breath, and relax and let things run their course.
Tom, I would give him 3 weeks though. I know it's hard, but if you follow it up at 1 week and then you're following up at 2 weeks, then understand you followed up twice within 3 weeks. And actually it's 4 times if you consider the pitch. So you pitch, right? Then you followed up. So I would give it a little bit more time. One thing that I do get and have always gotten is a lot of pitches. So I'm pretty good at telling people what good pitches are. And I'm also pretty good at finding a story there. So if you're saying that he responded and said, I'm going to take a look at this, right?
Yep.
So absolutely, he could get busy and forget or whatever. I'll give one other tip. And I don't know if you did this. It's actually really good to put pitch in your, in your subject line. A lot of times people don't do that, and they do that because, they think, oh, I'm being clever and being sneaky, and they don't put pitch. And then when people try to go back to their inboxes because they're specifically looking for pitches, guess what? They can't find them that easily because someone tried to be too clever. But I might give him up to 3 weeks. Understand, we're about to go into fourth quarter, right? Yeah. And so ideally you want to be able to build a relationship. What if what you're doing on the book is something that fits more into a series than rather a one-off?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, but either way, I appreciate the tips, Alicia, for sure. Yeah, we'll I'll keep the folks in the room updated. I'll let you guys know how it goes. Yeah, we'll keep things moving. Dom, what do you say? We'll move on to I got Dimple next on my queue. Is that where we are in yours?
I think we're at Charles. Charles two,
we're
two,
Charles.
Two, and then Dimple. Go on,
Charles. All the twos.
Charles Deuces.
Yeah.
What's up, Charles?
Yeah, I got to tell you what the twos are now, I guess. 2 gallons of clean water per person per day, 2,000 nutritional calories, and 200 cubic feet of secure shelter. That's basically the pitch. I've got COVID right now, so I'll be short. Everybody will appreciate that. I've got a podcast. We just had the pilot on Pacifica with one of the local radio stations here. So that was a good move. I just submitted a chapter for a book for Springer Publishing. That was good. Did it along with the published author already, so that'll be good. And I'm working with other nonprofits trying to put together a global movement. So I hear people saying, "Hey, be patient, follow up," all of those things, and part of it, I look at it and say, well, I'm looking at doing something really big. I mean, a global initiative that works with the SDGs, and I won't get into the detail, but patience is really possibly the enemy here, because we're talking about a sense of urgency. So I'm torn, but I'm Charles. I'm in Tampa and appreciate the room.
Hey, Charles, you're doing good work. Keep up the good fight. Tom mentioned earlier, like, people starting a business to make money, people starting something to do some good, and you're obviously doing some good work. So keep it up. Now we are going to Dimples. Let's see, Dimple. It says, follow my rating page. She's from New York. Go on, Dimple. You got any thoughts or tips for us? Have at it. All right, 3, 2, 1. Dimple's gone. All right, I'll tell you what happens. So at about 11, we start this room about 9:30 every Wednesday, and we cover a multitude of subjects. Tom got mad at Elon Musk. I got mad at Threads. Other people got mad at Tom's microphone and left the room. But then after an hour or so, we wrap it up, and Tom leaves us with a wrap up. That's usually how it goes, and that's how.
Hey, Dom, can I invite you guys on Monday? Come out Monday on the big idea. Could you guys both be there? If that could be in your schedule. It's what is it? 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern on Monday. Would that be possible for you guys? 10
a.m. I don't know what Tom's got on. I don't know what my schedule is yet, but I pop through when I can. So you may see me in there, and I'll put it on my list. And I love the big idea. So Jason show.
No, I'd like to give you guys a highlighted shout out, on our show, because you guys, every time I come in, there's always value to exchange, and it kind of works with what we do. Also, we're in the same alignment. And it's just like a great connector from Monday to Wednesday. I think it's a continuum of good vibes, man.
Good vibes. We like good vibes. Thank you, brother.
I appreciate that, Jason. I as of right now, my Monday morning is booked solid. But if that changes, I for sure will pop by. So you said 10:30 a.m. Eastern.
10 a.m. Eastern, yeah. 10
a.m. Eastern. Okay, so I'll try to pop by for a little bit if I can. But right now my morning's booked. But let me see if I can make it work to swing
and
by.
They got a lot of heavy hitters in there, and they're talking about serious subjects like making an impact. So the big idea, check it
Well,
out.
I think we're going to continue, kind of like what you guys just inspired. I mean, you guys inspired, and I like what Alicia was saying. Inventor versus innovator, and I like what Alicia said. She was curious, she pitched, she went after it, she waited, she was patient. That's amazing. That's life. If anything we can keep for ourselves, it's those experiences. You searched, you found, you fortified, I don't know how satisfied you are with your work, but I think that's a beautiful thing. I mean, I was really listening intentionally on what she was saying. And everyone was saying is there's a lot of value in this room. And I think you guys truly are a gem on Clubhouse. It's definitely a place I will attend without a doubt. I'll ignore a lot of other rooms just to come here. So
Hey, thank you,
thanks
man.
guys.
And one of the things before Tom wraps up, I'll say the beauty's in the journey, and it's in the everyday. Like we stop and yeah, I got my butt kicked today, but this happened. This was good. This was good. I overcame this, and that's the journey. And that's why you'll see some people out there, they make millions of dollars and then they're not happy, or they're a rock star, and they all of a sudden you get to the top of the world and you're like, why is this person not happy? That's because they're not appreciating the journey all along. They were looking to get to some point, and they thought when they got to this point, when I sell 1 million books, when I sell 1 million records, when I make $1 million, that this will solve everything. But it didn't, because they were unhappy. They didn't appreciate the journey. Where then, hey, when we make all this cash to people that are in this room right now, or when all these good things happen, we're going to be like, man, that was pretty good. I'm excited about it, and we'll just keep moving forward. So appreciate the journey. That's all I got. Tom, on that note, I've said enough. It's time for you to put a bow on things. Thanks, brother.
Well, we got one more. Dimple's back up on stage. Apparently got bumped, some glitch. So I wanted to give Dimple a chance to interject and share something with everybody before we wrap up. So Dimple, the floor is yours.
Hey, Tom, thank you so much. I felt like my Clubhouse was glitching. I've been on after such a long time. And honestly, I was just, I guess, doom scrolling versus scrolling because my head was in such a rut. And I just happened to find your page, which I thought was such divine intervention, because the craziest thing happened. I took a sabbatical from work. I used to be the district manager for Verizon for Northeast in Long Island and Queens for New York. And I was just like, the sales life was just a bit too high paced for me. And New York tends to be that way. We're all about that hustle and bustle and all about that go, go, go. And I was like, you know what? I just need to take a break. And the craziest thing happened that I realized I don't know how to. I am home. I recently just got married. I don't even know how to adjust because I'm constantly looking forward to the next thing I have to do, such a task, such a list mentality. So when Charles mentioned some things in the lines of patience versus urgency, I felt that in my soul, because yes, I'm patient for the next thing to happen, but I'm also having that sense of urgency for the next thing to happen, which kind of sort of birthed the conception of the idea of starting my own podcast, which I will be releasing in the next 2 months. And a lot of it has to do with what I like to refer to as neurospicy individuals, such as myself, and how we see the world and how we function through society, whether it's through work, whether it's through career, and how this trajectory of this 9-to-5 lifestyle that we all have versus this entrepreneurial lifestyle that we're looking at now, and kind of sort of unlearning certain values that I had, where, you go to work, you work hard, you create a savings, and you move forward to the next step in your life, where people out here are not just spreading themselves thin because that's the only choice that they have, but spreading themselves thin because there are so many options out there these days, where people are like, I can do this too, I can relate to this too. And not knowing that, it's great to be a jack of all trades, because that whole quote, being a master of none, also involves you knowing that it is necessary to know a little bit about a lot, but don't lose yourself in the process. So someone also mentioned about it being the new moon, and it's really great for manifestations and starting something new. I thought this was crazy divine intervention that I happened to pop into this room in such amazing individuals. When I look at your bios and when I hear you speak, I am truly honored to actually just be here and to hear you all speak and to hear your viewpoints. And some of them are just so, they're congealing and some of them are opposing. And I love how we're all able to just have a conversation about that. So thank you.
Well, thanks for being here, Dimple. Appreciate it. Thanks for getting back up on stage. Glad it worked out for you to say something to us today and share something with us. So here we go. I guess without further ado, it's that time of day. Dom has said his last.
Hey, hold on. You know what I forgot? I got to do show
What?
and tell real quick.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Okay, so I'm going to keep it simple. We just went to California on a road trip. My daughter wanted Cane's, so every week we do a show and tell. If you watch the live stream, we went to Cane's. She wanted Cane's chicken, Cane's. The chicken fingers are really good, but what I will pull out today is they had oh man, now I forget this guy's name. Oh man, complete freeze. Anyway, they put him on the cup at Cane's. This is the Cane's cup. Come on, what's his name? He's got a ton of tattoos. He's a singer, rapper, white guy. Come on.
Post Malone.
Yeah, the Post Malone cup. So that's what you get to see today at Cane's. My daughter got a Post Malone cup, and that's what I'm leaving with you. But the thing about this Post Malone cup is you can never really see Post Malone on it. You know, like there's a little guy. I guess this is big Post Malone, and that's his ear. But okay, Cane's, California. That's all I got for you. Post Malone cup. Go on, Tom.
Well, that was Stephanie Lopez. I get a credit where credit is due. We were talking about credit where credit's due earlier, right? So credit where credit's due. Stephanie Lopez threw that in the chat. Post Malone, and that's how I was able to throw out that answer. So Stephanie nailed it. She was paying attention and got Post Malone, threw it in the chat. So that's where I got the answer.
Maybe she, hold on. Maybe she has a Cane's cup. I wonder.
Yeah, she
Stephanie,
might
put that in the chat. All right,
she
Tom,
might. You never know.
I won't say another word. Do your thing.
All right, there we go. It's official. Dom has said he's going to stop talking for the rest of the show today. So now it's up to me to wrap us up. And you know, I think I want to go out kind of how we came in today. I was a little bit fired up, having a little bit of a morning, things not going exactly the way I'd like them to go. Sort of, I said the way I described it was I didn't feel like it was Murphy's Law applied to me. I felt like I was Murphy, sort of discovering the law with everything that I tried to do today. And you know, I think as we got close to the end of the room, we talked a little bit about, and Charles talked about sort of, you know, exercising patience with, or balancing patience with, what was the right word? What was the word he used? Dom, say one more word. What was the word Charles used?
Persistence. I don't know. What do you got?
Yeah.
We should ask Stephanie. She's been
right.
listening.
Stephanie, throw it in the chat if you know, if you heard what Charles was saying. I forget what word, but it's the idea of like balancing patience with like insistence, not impetuousness, urgency. There you go. Stephanie nailed it again. Coming through clutch. Stephanie, love it. So yeah, balancing patience with urgency, right? And you know, when things are not stacking up the way you want them to, or the way you hope they would, or the way you expect them to, it's important to exercise patience. But exercising patience, I don't think means sitting back and resting on your laurels, right? And I think that's an important distinction to make. We were talking about distinction. You know, I was talking about making distinctions earlier in the context of talking about Elon Musk and you know, giving credit where credit is due and equating business success with moral value, right? And I think it's important to make distinctions, you know, to understand the nuance and the subtle distinctions that are important to make. Be patient when things are not going exactly according to plan, but do not confuse patience with a lack of urgency, right? Maintain your urgency, maintain your drive, but be patient with the results. You are ultimately going to fail until you succeed, right? And so you have to exercise patience as you continue to push forward in whatever you're doing. You will always fail until you succeed. So exercise patience while maintaining urgency. And I'll leave you with this one more thing from our friend Stephanie in chat. Stephanie says, life is not a microwave dinner. And I think that's a perfect way to wrap it up. So Stephanie, thanks for coming in clutch at the end. Really appreciate it. Thanks everybody for being here with Dom and I in our room, not the smartest guys in the room, because we are not the smartest guys in the room. You all are. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. Great conversation today. Can't thank you enough. Thank you for being a part of this community. We love all of you, and we will see you again here next Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time for Not the Smartest Guys in the Room. Until then, have a great rest of your week. We love you. We thank you. We appreciate you. Go share some gratitude with the world today, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye, everybody. Love you.